Welcome to ScoreAide. Today we are gonna be looking at ratios and proportions. They are just some key rules. A ratio compares two quantities using a column or a fraction. A is to B, which means A over B. So that is a ratio. Meanwhile, a proportion shows two ratios are equal. For example, if A is to B is equal to C is to D, therefore means that A over B is equal to C over D. So this is a proportion. It compares two fractions. It says that two fractions are equal. So most of the times students miss some key steps like cross multiplications and stuff like this. When dealing with ratios, you have to simplify to the lowest value. And when dealing with proportions, always make sure you cross multiply. And if they are unit, keep the unit consistent. Tom track 20 meters in 10 seconds. How long will he trek in 10 kilometers? So you always have to make sure that you convert kilometers to meters, right? By multiplying it times 1,000, which will be equal to um 10,000 meters. Now that you have established that these quantities are all in the same unit, now you can go ahead and solve the problem. But we will get to examples later on in this lesson. Also, don't mix ratios. So make sure that you are not switching the order of the ratio. They should not say A is to B and you instead go and say B is to A. So always make sure you don't switch the order of the ratio. Don't forget to cross multiply when you are dealing with what? With proportions. Mixing different units, like we just said, can make you to fail your TEASE exam. And you can also set up proportion wrongly. We will get to that later on in the video. Now, with that being said, let us just go ahead and solve some examples so that you can be able to apply these on your TEASE exam. Now, let's look at this. Write the ratio of nurses to patient as 3 to 12. So we have 3 is to 12. Now you see that we can easily divide this ratio by what? By 3. We can divide all through by 3 because 3 is a factor of 12. So if we divide the ratio by 3, so you will see that we will have the ratio 1 is to 4. So one nurse is in charge of taking care of 4 patients. One nurse is assigned to 4 patients. So that is like kind of like very real. Like where I work, actually they usually assign one nurse to 4 patients most of the times. So uh with that being said, you can also do division, right? You can also say 3 over 12. And then this is a vulgar fraction, so you can just go ahead and uh, reduce it to 1 over 4, which is what we are talking about. 1 is to 4. Now question 2 says solve the proportion 2 over 5 is equal to x over 20. So in this case, we are looking for the value of x. So let's say 2 over 5 is equal to x over 20. So always make sure that you are crossing multiply like that. So this means that 2 times 20 is equal to 5 times x, right? So this means that 40 is equal to 5x, right? So we divide here both side by 5. I mean, the opposite of multiplication is division. So in this case, we divide both sides by 5. So this is going to give us uh 8 equal to x. So the value of x here is equal to 8, right? Now, let's go ahead and look at question 3. A recipe uses 4 cups of water for every 6 cups of flour. Write the ratio of water to flour. So, they say 4 cups of water is to what? 6 cups flour. So therefore means that, you see that 2 is the greatest common factor here. So we divide this by 2 and this by 2. So this will mean 2 is to 3. 2 cups of water for 3 cups of flour. Now let's look at question 4. If 5 pence cost $10, how much do 8 pence cost at the same rate? Now, this is a proportion. We are going to set up this proportion and I'm going to let you guys know. Remember, a proportion is when 2 fractions are similar. If we want to do 5 pence over $10, so this is the first fraction. So this fraction should be equal to, remember, if pence on the left hand side, pence are on the numerator, so it means that on the right hand side, pence is supposed to be on the numerator also. So we have 8 pence this way. Now we don't know the cost of 8 pence. So we can just say X dollars, right? In this case, we can cross multiply. We can cross multiply and what we have 5x is equal to 8 times 10. So remember to always put unit, even though I'm saying 5 times x and that, but always put your unit. So in this case, we divide both sides by 5, and we have that x is equal to 16. So x is going to give us 16. Now, let's go ahead and look at question 5, right? So again, you can pause and solve question 5. You can pause and solve question 5. Now, they say a nurse administers 3 milliliters of IV fluid over 5 hours. At the same rate, how much fluid will be administered in 8 hours, right? So let us establish. Let me just show you guys a quick way to solve this, right? So we want to look, we are looking for what? Milliliters in 8 hours, right? So you realize that our answer will be in milliliters, right? So we must have milliliters. So for us to cancel the hours, the fraction we need to have the hours on the denominator. So that we have what? 300 milliliters over 5 hours. So that these hours we cancel hours and we are left with what? We are left with 8 times 300. All this divided by 5, right? All that divided by 5. So in milliliters, it's going to give us 480 milliliters, right? So that would be the answer to that problem. So again, you can also solve this problem by creating a proportion, right? You can also say 300 milliliters. All this divided by what? 5 hours is the same as, remember, milliliters we need to be on the top fraction, right? On the top part of the fraction on the right hand side. So milliliters we need to be in the numerator. So this way we don't know the number of milliliters here. All this divided by what? By 8 hours. So in this case, you just cross multiply and you will find out that your answer will be 8 times 300 milliliters all divided by 5. which will be 480. Right? Perfect. Please go ahead and solve the practice problems and leave the answers in the comment section. Thank you.